Eli from Alston, Georgia said, it seems like Kirby and Georgia got some bad breaks the last 2 years. They lost the SEC title to Bama, didn't make the 14 playoff, and then Beck got hurt this season. Are they still the class of the sport? And is Kirby still the top coach in the sport? I will answer all this. What do you think about this? Listening, viewing, I don't care, live chat. Is Kirby Smart still your number one rated head coach? Most people would have said yes in the preseason. I think we all agree with that. So how much did one season, where they won the SEC, by the way, let's not forget this, did that lessen your opinion of him? It didn't with me. Did it with you? Okay. So Georgia has finished top 10 8 straight years. It's really difficult to do. But I want to go back to the question for a second. So the question was talking about how they've come up just short. They've had some bad luck the last couple of years. Well, they have. I call those sliding door type moments. So yeah, last year, they're number one in the country. They're undefeated. They lose to Bama and Atlanta, and they get dropped out of the top 4 entirely. FanDuel tells us they would have been favored over any of the teams that made the playoff last year. Doesn't mean they would have won, but they had as good, if not better, a shot than anyone that made it. But they didn't get a shot. Okay, so bad luck, you can call it that. Carson Beck goes down this year. No guarantee they would have won it all. No guarantee they would have beaten Notre Dame, but they would have been in a better, place, a position to do it, if you will. Well, that's true. But see, the door slides both ways. So with Georgia on the other side, remember, if Ohio State makes that field goal a couple of years ago in the Peach Bowl, you don't even go face TCU. It's Ohio State that goes and faces TCU. That's luck. You put yourself in position to benefit from it. That's luck, but the door slid your way. Jamison Williams goes down for Alabama 2021. It's part of the game, I know. But that's fortuitous for you. So the door slid your way. So the credit to Kirby and Georgia is they do the best thing you can. Put yourself in the right place. Have yourself in position every year. And the time will be right for you, and the time may be wrong from you, but you can't be in the right place, right time, if you're not in the right place. Right time can't find you if you're not in the right place. So the status for them moving forward is interesting. I think it's a real inflection point for Kirby Smart and Georgia. I still think of him as having not gotten to Georgia not too long ago. Like, I still don't think of Kirby as a veteran head coach, but he's been there a decade now. 15, I think was his first year. So he's coming up on a decade having been there. Or it's 2016, yeah. 2016 is Kirby's first year there. Recruiting's not going to be a problem for Georgia. I have mild concern as I look back over these past few cycles at retention rates and development rate. You look back at some of these highly rated classes they have, it is hard to keep those classes together. And then, of course, you've got to develop them. Some positions they've fallen well short in, like wide receiver's been just a perennial problem for them. But running back hasn't until this year. Offensive line hadn't until this year. And then the draft, along with NIL and the portal, hits you, and it's tough. But what's their plan is my question. It's a Georgia thing, but it's an everyone thing. What is Georgia's plan for revenue sharing? What is their NIL structure? You just assume Georgia's one of the top dogs. They got the same internal problems as a lot of other places do. You can call them first world problems, but you got to have full administrative buy-in when it comes to revenue sharing and how much you're going to distribute to your roster, and it's got to be a competitive number. NIL, can you match? Don't just assume that you've got these whale donors that are sitting there ready to stroke a check. You would be foolish to just assume that. So there's that, and then there's also the modern age of college football. Are your values, I'm talking about Kirby, are my principles and values compatible? The way I want to run my program, is it compatible with modern college football? That's why it's an inflection point. There's a lot of stuff changing. What I wonder also is around the mid-20 teens, we saw Nick Saban look at his program and say, we are going to radically evolve offensively. I'm tired of being in a position where the margin for error with the style of play is so low that, I mean, we go face these electric offenses, and they ended up they got beat a couple of times. And he looked and said, we could go get those players if we wanted. Let's go get them. Does Kirby look at his team like that? I don't know if he does. I'm saying this past year, when he looked at the way they played, and you look at the way Ohio State plays, those don't look the same. And I wonder if Kirby looks at it and says, we ought to have an insanely deep and talented wide receiver room. Why have we never had it here? Why are we not getting elite offensive output? Now they are. I'm talking about style. I'm talking about style, not just output. And then also, the sport's never going to sit still. So this has been a problem. The problem is once you get to the mountaintop and things are rolling, there is a propensity amongst some people, not all, to look and say, wow, what's going to stop us now? The sport never sits still. So Georgia wins back-to-back national championships. And you think, oh man, and now Saban's probably going to retire before too much longer. And even if he doesn't, like we've pulled right up alongside them. And then Saban does retire. And it's like, dude, there's no one standing in our way. You feel that way right now? Georgia hadn't had the hammer dropped on them with the NCAA. Like nothing's fundamentally changed. It's just the sport never sits still. You never take winning and you never take consistently being at the top for granted. Because history says what Saban did at Bama is an outlier. What Kirby's done at Georgia is an outlier already. Like there should be some down years. And trust me, you win the SEC, you did not just have a down year. Like by the unattainable standard that we may have for Georgia, yeah, it was a down year. It wasn't a down year. So it's just an inflection point. It's not a negative. It's just there's some adjusting that has to be done there.